guys bolted in. They're going in quite nicely. Not as difficult as they were coming out. That's already a good thing. Got a good start already. And you don't want to start by just tightening one and snugging it down with the ratchet, because it's made in such a way that it can kind of be moved around. So we're just gonna kind of do it like that and make sure we've got them all in a tight place. So we know for sure that we can tighten all of them. I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten this piece just like that. Just kind of snug it down. You don't need to rip the bolt head off or tear the threads up. And there, we've already got your motor installed, and now we just need to make sure we plug it up. If you don't plug it up, guys, it's not going to work. So you gotta find the wire. He's all the way down at the bottom there. And then I'll just pull him up right here, and we will connect him. And good, it's the right part. It works, it's connected. So once we've got that connected, now we're gonna work on getting our regulator hooked up. Alright guys, and one thing I forgot to mention before you go ahead and do your install, you want to make sure that it's actually your motor that's at fault for the problem. So what we want to do is we want to grab our switch here, and if you don't have them plugged in, go ahead and plug them in. I'm going to go ahead and turn the key in on the car, and then we're just going to kind of push up and down and make sure that the motor is actually working and operating the regulator. Alright guys, and like I was saying, you want to plug it up and make sure your regulator works before you go ahead and install the part. I mean, it could just be a switch. It's funny, you saw me there just a second ago, I hit the thing and nothing happened. I've now found out that the switch on this door here does not work, and I'll show you here in just a second. I'm going to go hit this button and show you that it does work. So I'm just going to go over to the driver's side and hit this button. So we verified that the problem is the motor, and that fixed it. It's just when I hit that button, the switch is actually bad on the passenger side. So now I'm going to show you how to get this regulator bolted up, and we'll put the window back in. Alright guys, so we'll get 4 of our bolts here, and we're going to line these holes up. If you can see, I don't know if you can see it this far, but we have these 4 holes we need to line up right there. So I'm going to go ahead and start one of my guys in here just like that, and then I'll grab my other pieces right here, and then I'm also going to want to make sure that this is positioned in the correct way, because we've got wires coming off here. They go from the regulator to the motor. I just want to make sure the wires aren't twisted up, so I'm going to feel around and just make sure they aren't twisted up, make sure they're going the right way. It feels like they are, so that's good. So just take note of that. Make sure you don't have them crossed up and the regulator twisted around. And I'm going to go ahead and run these down, and I'm going to start my bottom bolts here. And like I was saying earlier, you want to make sure you don't tighten any of these 4 bolts down, you know, so that you can't position the other bolts in such a way that they'll actually fit in. So you want to start all 4 like you saw me do, and like I was talking about earlier on that power motor, the same concept applies for the regulator. So I'm just going to snug them down there, and once we've got them all started, you can snug each one down. Snug it up. I'm going to come over to this bottom. Snug. And snug. Alright, so got him in there nice and well. And now we're going to work on sticking our window back down in and getting him mounted to this piece here, which is going to roll your window up and down. Alright guys, so we're going to grab our window, and we're going to begin by sticking him back down in the thing. And you may have to lift this piece right here to kind of get the window started back in there. I'm actually going to come from this side right here, and I'm going to begin by sticking them down in, and you're going to need to just kind of pull on these pieces right here so it'll go back in properly. Alright guys, and I realized I needed to reposition the camera to kind of give you guys a better idea of what I'm doing and what I'm fighting against here. So you need to kind of push like you're seeing me do and grab this piece like so. And there's also a second piece, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. There's that piece and then there's that second piece right there. You also need to make sure you're pulling that back and just kind of go along right here and make sure you get it all pulled back so every piece of the window can fit back in there. And the window will want to grab, but you're just gonna have to kind of work with it here. Take your time, and with much patience it will eventually get worked back in there. So just gonna keep on being patient. It's that second piece that kills you. Once you've got worked in there a little bit though, you can kind of use two hands and let go of the window, so it makes it a little bit easier. So now I got the window just about worked in. Still, you'll be fighting this thing till the end, till it gets all the way in. I'm just gonna take my hands, and there we go. So I've got the window worked in here finally. The next thing we'll want to get the window worked into the run channel. So as I was saying, we want to get it worked into the run channel, and the trick is getting both sides worked in. I'm gonna start by getting them worked in up here, and right now it would appear that I have it worked in all the way. Then you're just gonna kind of push it down, and you're gonna look while you're pushing it down if the bolt holes are lining up with that regulator piece that it needs to be hooked up to. Alright guys, so like I was saying there, when I was saying you need to look down, I was talking about this white piece right here. I'm going to push up a little bit, and now you can see it's just about lined up right up there. And I'm going to go ahead, well first we need to make sure both are like that, and then it kind of just fits right on there. It's got those two little tabs that kind of help it slide on. And I'm going to start my bolt, and it's going to be two of the smaller bolts, so make sure you're not using the longer bolts because the smaller ones came out of it. So just gonna go ahead and get them started right like that, and your window's in the track and it's now sitting on the regulator, so we're doing good. We're just about done. I'm gonna grab my piece here, and they're plastic tabs. These bolts are sitting in plastic tabs, but the good thing is inside the plastic tab is a metal nut, so you're not gonna hurt the threads, but remember it is encased in a plastic housing, so you may not mess the threads up, but you'll surely tear up that plastic tab because the bolt's sitting in there, or the nut is sitting in there rather. So I'm gonna just kind of tighten both of those down, and now the next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and test our window, see if it's going up and down the run channel smoothly. Alright guys, so here I am. I've got the car started, so it's gonna get good strong voltage going to it. And I'll be on the driver's side, but I'm gonna lift it up and down just to make sure that the window's in the track well, and just to make sure it's going to work properly. So you'll just see the window going up and down, so we're testing it. So there we go guys, as you can see the window went up and down just fine. So we know that our new piece is working just fine, and it's repaired the problem that we needed to have fixed. So now I'm just going to go ahead and we'll make sure all your bolts are tight. I know mine are tight. And then we're going to put our weathering plastic piece here. I'm just going to, you don't really have to apply the new weathering stuff, but you'll just go ahead and kind of push. You'll see it's still very adhesive, and it hasn't lost its adhesive property. So we're just going to kind of work this back on here like so, and I need to change the camera angle so you can see everything. Alright guys, and like I was saying, you're just going to want to make sure you apply a decent amount of pressure on these little spaces here, and this is just going to make sure that no water will get inside to kind of touch those electrical pieces and other weather sensitive things. So just kind of make sure it's nice and sealed off. And you don't really need to apply new weathering strip or weathering adhesive stuff. Just kind of go along, make sure it's sealed off really well. And if you really want to, you can, but it's it's not going to hurt anything, but if you do put the new weathering strips up on there. But it's also not really all that necessary unless it's just really not sticking on there well. This one seems to be going back on just fine. If it's really just kind of barely hanging on, then you may want to get yourself some new weathering adhesive things. But if it looks like this one and it went back on just like this one did, then you're really fine. You don't need new weathering adhesive. So now we're gonna put our door panel back on and get all our electrical connectors back and connected. Alright, so you're just gonna grab that door panel of yours, and we're gonna begin with the tweeter that hooks up to the speaker right here. You're just gonna stick them down until it snaps in. Just like that, you heard them click in. Next, we're gonna work our switches and buttons back into their positions. And the door lock switch, which is going to be this guy, is going to come through this hole right here, and then your window switch is going to come up through this bottom hole right here. So it's going to look something like this. Your window switch is going to be right here, and your door handle piece is going to be right here. So we're now going to begin to work on mounting this guy, and I'm going to kind of look at my little pieces here. If you can see, we've got all kinds of these little pins that are going to snap in, or plastic studs. They're going to snap into the holes along here. So we want to kind of try and line it up. And this piece is going to want to try and grab on the top here just a little bit. I can feel it right there. It feels like it's in the right position. And we're going to want to kind of bang this guy back into its position here. So I'm just making sure everything's lined up. And we're just about all clicked back in there. These, I can tell this door panel's been off before because the plastic studs are pretty weak, but that's okay. Next, what we'll do is we'll grab our two 10mm bolts that went right in there. And they're kind of the ones with the points on them, so just make sure you still have those. Make sure you didn't put them in the window or something. So I'm just gonna, I'll drop these guys in here and kind of just get them started a little bit. And the next thing we'll want to do is go ahead and grab our electrical connector, and we'll plug him back in. Just work him in there and it'll snap right in. Then we'll take our door handle, we'll just open it up and work this piece back in. And like I said before, we've got the 1, 2, and there's a third one on the end there. We're gonna work them back in, and they'll just kind of snap right back in. Alright, and we got that piece in there real well. And then we'll take our Phillips head screw, just kind of get him started, working him back in there. I've got him started. I'm just gonna take my Phillips head screwdriver and work him back in there. Just till he's snug down just like that, and it's now secure. And lastly, what we'll do, first make sure you have your window switch operator guy here. I seem to have misplaced mine, so I'm gonna reach down on in there, and hopefully he hasn't wandered too far. There he is. So we're just gonna do this right here, and make sure we grab this piece right here, and he snaps back in. Just gonna snap in. You heard him snap in on both sides, so we'll just work him back in, and he also kind of just snaps back in there like that. And then we will lastly tighten these two 10mm bolts. Well, these aren't seeming to really tighten down too well. I don't know what the deal is there. This is how it came to me, so I'm not really too concerned about that. So it seems to be back together pretty well. Next thing we'll do is take our little piece here, and so you just go ahead and stick it on in there, and it kind of snaps right in there, and that's pretty much it. That's about just the end of this job. So guys, once you've got everything put back together, just go ahead and make sure your window works. As you heard earlier, this switch doesn't work, but make sure your locks work as well. And turn your car on, make sure both of your speakers here work. And once you've done all that, everything's back together, you're good to go. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all my new videos, which publish Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will see you then.